Greetings, I'm Jeremy Wells, and I would like to introduce you to my friend Eddie McLaughlin. He and his husband Kurt have been members of the church for several years and have welcomed 2 adopted children into their home and into the church. When we first started getting to know one another, he shared about his experiences working in a school district and in a geographic area that frankly struggles to be accepting of both mixed race couples and gay couples. I knew Eddie was well educated, well articulated, and would be open to talk about culture. He is currently a child psychologist for the school district and deals with many cultural issues daily. Our conversations were typically on the phone and were very high-spirited and quite a bit of fun. On paper, Eddie and I are about as different as you can imagine. Eddie is himself a biracial man. He's in a mixed race, same-sex marriage. I'm Caucasian, cis male, engaged to my fiancée Erin. His mom is from Cuba, and she fled the country to Jamaica where she met her husband. From Jamaica, the family then immigrated to the United States when Eddie was a child. My parents were raised in Eugene, Oregon, met in high school, and got married shortly after. Religiously and politically speaking, though, we do share a lot of similarities. We were both raised in very traditional Christian homes that believed in the inerrancy of Scripture. In our discussions, I was grateful for his distinguishing between cultural and religious barriers. For example, his father's side of the family, the Jamaican extended family, rejects him because of religious reasons, not cultural. Then, on his mother's side, he said he is loved and supported because of their faith, but shunned culturally for being in a gay marriage. Eddie has some passionate ideas about the overlap between culture, religion, and politics. He believes that in times of fear and high anxiety, people look to care for their own. Countries begin to look inwards and talk about keeping others out. And in times of high tension, he believes different cultural groups put up the same barriers. As fear grows, we lose our excitement or eagerness to learn about others. The unknown, which should intrigue us, instead begins to scare us. Eddie and I were both particularly passionate about the topic of patriotism, which to a degree is a false notion for us. In our discussion, we focused on how patriotism is a form of cultural assimilation. You must be passionate about America, support wars, support the troops, and believe that America can do no wrong in order to be considered a true American. We both agree that assimilation is not the cultural answer. We believe that we can exist in a country where different cultures are celebrated, and we can learn from one another, not try and become one another. It is this shared mutual respect that I want to carry into my ministry. I want to strive to understand others, to empathize, to learn from others. One strong critique I have of the church is that it often feels we expect visitors or strangers or new members at church to assimilate and fit right in with the community. But in reality, we should be saying we love you for who you are and will come alongside you with this journey. Are we really showing love to our neighbors, to strangers, or to enemies if we have an agenda to change them? There's a fine line between sharing the good news out of love and forcing your beliefs on others. A tangible next step for me in ministry is actually already in place, which has been inspired in part by this cultural engagement. We're kicking off a new ministry called Messy Church. And throughout the planning, we are approaching the needs of the community around us from the point of view that we want to learn about another culture. We've met with and found what families in the community say they need. We've addressed how our own practices in church are culturally jarring to some people. And we're tailoring the ministry itself to fit the needs of the community, rather than expecting those in need to adapt to how we do things.